to go through and obtain the requirements to make us to be, legit to do what we are to do in terms of having this process done properly? Now, these are the questions we need to be asking. What it takes for us to have the registration of work permits of non-ECOWAS citizens. Do we need so much more sophistication to do this? Or is it because we need money now that we sell at ourselves, and at the end of the day, and make this company to make more money than what we should have made for ourselves? Now, here's the story. They entered this deal. The other allegations where there are some big hands in government, some people that went to buy, some people received 250,000 as a kickback, some people that are in government, and some people that are not in government now. All these things, they are not things that I need to dwell into because I don't have facts. These are allegations. But here's the issue. If you gave that company 40% share to just do the registration of non-ECOWAS citizens for the 5 million, you know what you're doing? You've sold yourself cheap, and the company is making more money out of you. So I received this very classified information that the Minister of Finance is having problem with it, even though he been in the know. He's having problem with this process to have this deal. He's having problem with it. So he feels that this is not a good deal. He thinks it is not a good deal. Right? The Minister of Finance thinks that this is not a good deal. So what he's recommending is let the company receive 20% and 80% goes to the government. And in all fairness, that's how it should be. Because what is this company bringing to the table? The 5 million? So it means that the company is giving you 1 million every year. The company is giving you 1 million every year. Is the Ministry of Labor cannot generate 1 million in terms of this work permit a year? Is it what you're saying? Or is it that the government needs 5 million urgently? That's the reason why she sold out something that she could receive more money from to support the national budget? Now, if you were to do the calculation, it is clear that the Ministry of Labor, she makes more than that 1 million annually in terms of work permits for non-ECOWAS citizens. But how can we reach a point where you go give it for 5 million? Now, I'm told the company, they've opened their office within the Ministry of Labor building, but the account of the company is what they hold on now that it cannot be open. Yes. The account of the company cannot be open now, because if that account is open, so that means whenever money is being paid, portion of that money goes to the company and portion of the money goes to the government. And that deal is not a good deal. How are you making money by yourself and you go subject yourself to say, because they just won't make money to give money to this company, either because there was some kickback, because some people were in favor of it, some people that were in government, some people that are not in government now, but they were in government earlier on, they had an interest in this deal. This is totally not a good deal for Liberia, particularly for the Ministry of Labor, where she could generate her own money. Or is it that the government needed that 5 million so urgently that they needed to give that out, and where the company will make millions of dollars? So now the company cannot open her account. Today, it was a very heated argument at the Ministry of Labor, where the Minister of Finance, I'm told, is saying that that money, that share, that 40% share is too much for the company. My question to the minister: when did he get to know this has been signed? At times when we are doing these things, we are to be careful. These are laws that we affix our signatures to. It is binding on us whenever we do these things. What's so extra the company? This is what I want. What's so extra this company is about to do that the Ministry of Labor could not do by herself? That needed the expertise of people like they do to come and perform the expertise for the Liberian people in terms of just doing a permit for non-ECOWAS citizens. This is one of the means other governments around the world they make money. They don't give these kinds of issues out to people. No. How do you go the registration again of foreign nationals to give them permit? It's something that you need to sell out. They sold that out to this Slovenian company, Cetix, 5 million, 5 years. You listen to it? Every year, 1 million. So is the ministry unable to generate her own money? Or listen, if you say this is the good point of it, if the ministry cannot generate that money annually, then it is better to say you can give this out, right? You can give this out so that 1 million it covers what you've been collecting. Maybe the ministry could not collect up to 1 million annually, so you collected like something around maybe you say half a million or 600,000 annually. Then if someone is giving you a deal to say, okay, we gave you up to 1 million, it makes you to understand that yes, there's a good deal because it's like people in a common sense that I will get profit. But this is not the case. This is not the case. You generate your own money and you come and you sold out this company to this company for 40-60%. The government takes 60% and the company takes 40%. So I'm told the Minister of Finance is not happy. Today was a heated debate. And I'm just waiting because I've been assured that I will get the recording where you could listen to the people having the conversation and everything so that I can let the Liberian people know. But that deal is not a good deal. It's not a good deal. Okay, like we announced, we're going to have with us our prime guest, one of Liberia's best when it comes to providing critical analysis on national issues in our country. One of the persons that speaks truth to power, speaks truth to whatsoever, and he's also an activist. And he's been into this thing for a very long period of time. Mr. Abdullah Kiatamba is my guest this evening. The firing Abdullah Kiatamba. He's my guest this evening on the program. He joins us to talk about much more issues concerning Liberia, concerning how things are in the country. We're going to be looking at the governance of our country. We're going to be looking at the economy of our country. We're going to be looking at the political indicators as we move towards the 2023 elections. Much more we're going to be discussing. Let me say good evening to you, Mr. Katamber, and you look very good this evening.
Thank you. How are you doing?
Okay, you need to work on his. Okay. Are you okay now?
Hello?
Okay, you getting us now? Are you much better?
I can get you.
You can get me?
No.
Okay, so he's working on it so you can get it very good.
Okay.
Is it much better?
I can hear you though. I hear you directly, not through the microphone.
Okay, you hear me directly. You not getting me through the microphone. I think that should be sorted out. Okay, it's okay now?
Same thing.
Okay, you guys need to look at it very good so that we can. Okay,
Hmm?
it's much better, right?
Yeah, try.
Yes, we tried it already,
I hear you directly.
but you're not hearing through
No,
the system,
no.
right? So you guys need to look at it now. But you hear
You try
yourself.
it.
Do you hear
I
yourself
can
when you
hear
talk?
you.
No, when you talk, do you hear yourself?
No,
Okay, so then do it. Okay, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
but directly.
Hmm.
You hear me directly.
I'm hearing you from
All right.
the microphone, and I'm getting you very clear. Hmm. Go ahead.
Well,
Hmm.
happy to be here,
Hmm.
and congratulations on your opening. I'm happy to hear the growth and the expansion. Pretty good news. Um,
Even though I need to apologize, right?
no, 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 no. I mean, it's an oversight.
I know, right?
Hmm.
Okay, it is an oversight. Okay, sorry. I think I needed to control it from my end. Okay, I have done it. Okay, so I think it's much better. We have a very sophisticated system now.
Okay, I can
there,
hear you now.
there
I
you
can
get
hear
it.
myself.
Okay, so
So
I
I should be
needed
looking
to.
this way or looking this way.
Uh,
I'm talking to you when I look this way. How
uh,
does it come on the screen?
yeah, you look this way, no problem. Here's the whole
Okay,
system
okay,
right
all right.
before you. Just get it done readily. Look at his head. Okay, so how's everything been with you? Been a while. We've been talking on the phone,
Right.
getting you. You just make yourself so busy for us.
No, 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 not really. I just got few things to do and I get overwhelmed.
Mm,
I was in the rural Liberia recently
mm,
on the project and I came back. So is sometimes I got too many things at once,
mm.
and so you try to cut down, but it's hard. But it's all good. You got to be involved, get active, do a lot of things at the same time.
How are you managing in Liberia? You hear people talk about how things are difficult. You hear other group of people talk about yes, things working the way they want that to work. How's it with you in Liberia? You've been here for a couple of months now.
Yeah, I think it's a good experience being in Liberia.
Mm,
After a long time to get disconnected from the country,
mm,
and I told myself after our immigration campaign in the U.S., I'll spend a lot of time between Liberia and the U.S.
mm,
and do a lot of different things. And I think those things are unfolding the
okay.
right way.
Mm.
They are even moving faster than I anticipated. So I think that is the good news. So Liberia is not a template that you
Mm.
can say this will work this way.
Okay.
You have to have a plan and then make sure you work out the plan and try to adjust the plan
Mm.
how with changing things and changing times and circumstances because Liberia is different when you're outside Liberia trying to understand Liberia and it's different when you're in Liberia trying to understand Liberia. And so I think, but overall, I think the experience has been enriching
Mm.
and fruitful and quite eye-opening.
Were you to be, were you to tell us about maybe some of the good things you've seen in Liberia, some of the bad things you've seen in Liberia? What will you say about that?
Well, one of the good things is that Voice of Liberia opened a news station. And it's a beautiful edifice, is a beautiful space.
Mm,
It's technology at its best.
mm.
The envy of the media landscape. you know, my man Sekou want me to be a media mongo in
I know, right?
Africa. So this is about a good part.
Uh,
But also the people are resilient people.
mm,
They have survived war and conflicts, and they have survived some of the most painful deprivation and experiences and still look optimistic
mm,
and still smile and say have that character of compassion and Liberian people are beautiful people at heart and beautiful people in mind and they exhibit so much of that. Everything they've gone through, they have not lost that true soul, that true nature
mm.
that makes so many people still nice. And the challenge is also here. We
Okay.
see suffering, we see poverty, we see hard conditions,
Mm,
we see disturbing news of challenges in governance, some missteps.
mm,
We see exploitation of the poor people from the resources of the state,
mm,
and we see the lack of clarity and coherent direction
mm,
on the part of government on some issues, and also or the combination of all of that. Liberia is a mixed picture,
mhm.
is a mixed bag that comprises the good, the bad, the ugly. And that has been our experience, how we grow from that, where the story of success would define the country more than the missteps, more than the corruption, more than the inhumanity. And so that's what all of us should be involved. It's a collective work. It is not a work of the elite in power. It's a work of ordinary people in their communities who are making change, who are making things possible, who are stepping up and having impact and inspiring next generations to see that this is possible. Something can be different if we do things differently, if we step up more powerfully, and we invest more passionately. So I think all of that.
Let's start our discussion on this note. There are a lot of things happening in Liberia, like you said. When you listen to people, some people will say the good things about the country, some others will say the bad things about the country. Um, Ketama, what do you think is Liberia problem?
Look, there are several problems. Some of the problems are historical problems.
Okay.
Some of the problems are cultural problems. Some of the problems are leadership problems. But the most significant problem is leadership.
We have in Liberia.
We always have a leadership challenge. Look, failures in history is a failure of leadership. Everybody can fail, but when the leaders fail, it impacts life. Someone can fail in their private life, but when the leaders fail, people are deprived of medicine in the
You want to get
hospital.
close to the mic.
People are deprived of medicine in the hospital to treat themselves. When the leaders fail, the future of children are stolen from them because they don't have access to education. They don't have opportunity to live a prosperous life. Communities are devastated by hopelessness and the corruption. People are taken away from the future of people who cannot afford. The state resources is accumulated in few hands and concentrated in few hands, and leave to rot majority of the people in deprivation and in suffering. So the leadership is critical to change the direction. Leaders set the tone, they set the direction, they inspire people to hope for a better future, and they crack down on problems that remain unresolved. Years of leadership, accumulated leadership failure. There must be a leader that say, look, we do not want a transactional leader that run a country, pay salary. We want someone to transform this country. The country needs transformation. It does not need to patch it. It does not need to patch corruption. It does not need to patch the broken health system. We need to transform the broken health system. We've been patching the systems and they've been leaking. We patch, it leaks. So we need someone who, so that is why leaders who are concerned with transforming the country step by step on education. What can we do on education that will be different that has not been done? How can we leverage interest? How can we make sure maybe free education, primary education from kindergarten to the end of high school? Maybe we do different kind of investment. Maybe we cut down travel and transfer that wealth, that investment in education. Maybe if we cut down corruption by 80%, by 60% in a measurable way, we can invest in hospital system. I just talked to a guy today who went to hospital and he spent literally almost $400
Just on a minor issue.
he makes $100 US a month. He spends $400 US. So if you are taking huge amount of money investing in that system, you reduce the burden on the guy who already have a bigger burden, who is overburdened by the tough economy, by the increased family size, by increased demand for assistance from family members. You reduce the burden. But this man makes $100 US. He has an hospital bill of $400 US. Put aside how much he eats. Put aside how much he invests in his children's education. So you need a leader that say, look, we have the resources here. Look, if you leverage the resources, if we allocate appropriately, if you look at areas that are most critical, we will see the leader. Look, our people are not looking for a miracle. They are looking for a commitment, and they're looking for a leader who cares, who abandon what is important to them, their interest, their good time, their luxury, their opulence for their survival. Our people are barely surviving. So we want leaders who would think about how they can elevate their condition, who can highlight that, who can make their stories their concern, who can make their pain their commitment. And that is why leadership is critical. It is the most important issue that intersects all other issues in the country.
Now, this issue has been said over and again. Electors themselves have said one of the problems Liberia has been faced with is the issue about the leaders that we elect. But yes, the continual mistakes being made. Is it that the electorates are to be blamed, or it is to be blamed on the politicians that come and say the rhetorics to them to vote them?
Well, I think it is a shared failure.
Okay.
Voters, look, the guy who got rich, who's getting rich in the Senate, in the House, he's not getting rich because he put himself there. You made him rich.
Mhm.
And if your vote is making someone richer and making you poorer, you have a responsibility to change that reality. If you're making someone richer by your vote, that man will not get rich if you did not vote for him.
Mhm.
So your vote has given him a power. So if he abuses that power and you send him back, then you've accepted abuse. You have accepted deprivation. You have accepted to be subjected to the lifestyle, to the conditions that you cry off every day. So it is the role. So it's also an issue of political leaders.
Mm.
Now, people have different definition of public services. Those who go to the public services say, look, I want to go and this would be my liberation from poverty.
Mhm.
If I go to the Senate, I'll be liberated from poverty.
Mhm.
Some people go there, I want to help leave a legacy in this country.
Mm.
That wants a leader. And I supported a bill that makes sure kids from 5 years to 12 years old got free medical access,
Mm.
got free medical treatment. So the different players who go to the house go with different understanding of public service. And that honors, so the leaders, the voters are the one that can change that. They have a responsibility because when you pay voters to vote for you, the guy who pay you got to get your money back.
Mhm.
And when he's getting your money back, he feel there's a transaction. I pay you, we did a business, and you voted for me. When I get there, I gotta take care, I gotta get the return, get my profit.
Mhm.
I'm going for my profit now. So we have to decide what kind of relationship you want with your leaders. Do you want a transactional relationship where they give you money for vote and they go there and abandon your case because they feel, look, I'm not obligated the extent to which I would have been obligated if their vote were based on my agenda, issues that will change, and there is an active and a robust role of informed and engaged citizens who are holding accountable. But if you're not doing that, if you engage in a business transaction with your lawmakers, they will continue to play the role they're playing. You will continue to cry. We have a vicious cycle. So you need leaders also. So the most important thing, giving the imperial presidency,
Mhm.
the president can inspire the country, even engage lawmakers. Say, look, this country, the problem this country has faced historically has been leadership failure. And we can change that. And we will be that change. We will be that different leadership that restore hope because people have lost faith in the institutions of governance because of the experience with the institution of governance. These institutions have failed them, have served the elite and the few electors. They want a game changer, but the voters are critical. The voters, and one of the problem that the other tab player is the media, public education.
You think the media has not done well in educating the people about what to do?
I think the media has done well, but the media also done damage.
Okay.
The damage is if you are engaging in public education on these issues, say, look, you need to be an informed and engaged citizens. You need to take action. But then most of the public education is propaganda. The propaganda is they're not educating the public on the issues. They are telling the public to vote for someone. So they sidetrack the issue and focus on making sure that person is
To
elected.
seek their personal interest.
So if you do that, that is not public education, that's propaganda. There's a difference between propaganda and public education. Where you come and sell a product, no matter how flawed is it, because you want to change, you want to move or shift behavior in the voting population. But a public education is take an independent, objective analysis of issues that help people to make their own decision. Now, if they make the wrong decision, they can be absolutely. But this is, I didn't know the guy already who was bad because the media is not telling all the angles. The media is only telling this guy's a good guy because he's paying for the message he is receiving from the media. So that's what I was
But
saying.
at times, even when the media plays a role where maybe educating the people what to do, and once they think maybe John Brown has done something personally for them, they see no reason why they will accept the message or messages coming from the media. They think the only thing to do is to go for this individual because this person somehow, somewhere has been able to affect their lives positively.
Well, that is a good example. And that example leads us to this. So someone is not performing well.
Mm.
So all they need to do is to be nice to one or two person. And that justify their being in governance.
Mm.
So you're basically as a voter saying, as long as he's good to me, he's a good leader.
Mm.
But that is not his responsibility necessarily.
Mm.
It is a good thing to have a compassionate leader who address people's personal issues, which is a good thing.
Mhm.
If you have enough, share with those who have the least. That is a good part. But when that person realizes that's the only way, they don't have to perform again. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to hold, because I'm a lawmaker. I do not have to hold the government accountable. I do not have to run a red pen through the budget to make sure the excessive and discretionary spending that are completely spiraling out of control. I just need to take a few dollars and give a guy and make sure he come on radio and praise me. And that explains my work. So we're minimizing and trivializing leadership in public service by doing that, because we're minimizing it. And then we're desecrating the value of that role, because that role is not on an NGO. You should play the role of NGO, but the most important role is to pass law, hold government accountable, make change possible, and make sure these institutions work for everybody. If this guy is giving you money and the hospitals are not working, if the hospitals were working, he does not need to give you money. Because you got good access.
What about this case? And I try raising that issue where you have a bulk of our lawmakers. Most of the actions, Liberians see them not to be in the interest of the people. Concessions have been signed onto, and you have bulk of them not benefiting the Liberian people. Laws being signed onto, even to the extent about the budget. There has been this, saying that people in the House of Representatives they insert figures for their personal interest, where at the end of the day, this go to bogus institutions just for their selfish interest. Uh, Now, what is it in that direction? Because these are actions that affect the Liberian people, because it is the taxpayers' money and other monies that we put together that make up the budget. And at the end of the day, when the monies come out, it goes to direct individual instead of the country.
Well, again, the citizen behavior would determine the kind of leader they have.
Okay.
The citizens would determine the quality of the leader they have. If the citizens are okay with someone getting away with that, that will produce more leaders who feel this is
A business.
This is a business, a gold mine. So no one want to come to that position. The first representative who he's replacing got 2 cars, got 5 houses, and want to settle for less. And then the people in the community say, "My man, your man house, you didn't do nothing for yourself. You sat down there, the poor it all." So the voters can determine the quality of leader they have. And the quality of leader will determine the quality of institutions we have, the quality of hospitals, the quality of educations, the quality of job. So if you have low quality of leaders, you're going to have low quality of institutions that will address your need. So I think the voters, the more we educate the voters, the more voters are informed, the less these lawmakers would do what they're doing. The less voters are informed, the more they will do that, because they thrive on the ignorance and the poverty and the conditions of these voters. But when they build these institutions that are working, even half good institutions that are working, it will be difficult. The goal is to make things work for the country. It's not to make things work for the lawmakers. So you have to shift the function of the state. The state is working for the few lawmakers instead of working for the country. The state should be working for those who cannot afford. The state was not created to address the concern of a privileged lawmaker, of a wealthy lawmaker, of a financially solvent lawmaker. It was created to address the conditions of those who cannot afford, to lift them out of poverty, to put them on the ladder of opportunity, so they too can live a life of fulfilling life for their families. So the more we not, so that if the state is like the car was made to move, if the car is not moving, there's something wrong. Just the nature of it. So the voters, the extent to which we educate voters, is the extent to which they will become more aggressive, more informed, more active, and hold their lawmakers. Lawmakers will not do that again. The less informed our voter, the more lawmakers will do what they do. So it is that kind of relationship voters in the country and ordinary people got to have with the lawmakers. This relationship is defined by the silence of voters in the face of flaunting of wealth, in the face of exploitation, in the face of concentration of wealth in few hands. This country will be on this path until a Messiah from somewhere will emerge and take us to a new direction, and we challenge everything, we overturn the systems on its head, we break down this thing and rebuild a system that works for all
So
of us.
that took me to this issue that has to do with the current government. Uh, Ketama, what do you make of the economy of the country, looking at how Liberians are currently surviving under what's going on in Liberia?
No, this economy is tough.
Is it only unique to Liberia?
Well, it is global. Our situation is unique.
Mm.
Our situation is unique. Every economy, two people suffering, but the suffering are unique.
Okay.
You know, my suffering can be different, or maybe my own suffering can eat dry bread. Own suffering, you can eat dry bread.
Yeah.
So two different kind of suffering. Look, this government came and inherited a tough economy.
Mm.
Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said, in her own words, that the economy was in precipitous decline. It means it was declining so fast.
Mm.
Now, but this government was not elected as a transactional government. George Weah was only elected because he was a transformer. He would do what every other person failed to do. So George Weah was not on the scale of an ordinary leader. So here's the expectations are different. So that's one. Two, but the government has done some good stuff.
But even though they gave the feelings and thoughts of the people that they could.
Exactly. And the other one is, so was taxable. Let's unpack a few things. The inflation was about 30%, now it's about 1/3 of that, which is progress. We had a huge liquidity problems. By 2020, some people could not get money from the bank. So stabilize that monetary space and fiscal space to some extent. But the bottom line is that no economy is best reflected in the lives of ordinary people. People are suffering in Liberia. I mean, things are tough. And the worst experience when they see people wasting money, wasting resources and wealth. We see millions of dollars poorly managed. It hurts people. And we cannot romanticize an economy by bringing a report from World Bank. No, if World Bank tell us we're doing well, that doing well should be reflected in poor people's life.
Mm-hmm.
That doing well. Tell me how many people are taken out of poverty. Tell me how many people, because of the PAPD, we have taken 1 million out of poverty. We created 10,000 new jobs. We expanded investment in businesses. Small businesses have access to capital and loan and technical support, and they're expanding in the space, and they are growing the economy. They are providing employment. Tell us, how do we measure the impact of this? Because we do know that things have stabilized in terms of the state it was in a terrible state of paranoia. But these people are suffering in this country. And one of the things people are disturbed by is that when they hear the news of corruption, millions of dollars.
And also seeing those of the people being mentioned in corruption, nothing has been done.
Exactly. And so the kind of actions we want to see on corruption, we've not seen that kind of robust action. We see some steps, but these steps are chicken steps, are baby steps. We want big steps. We want bold actions. We want robust
What type of
action.
big steps do you think should be done?
Take, for example, set up a unique corruption code, which has been a recommendation, accelerate some of the cases. There's a backlog of unresolved cases. LACC made a lot of recommendations, and those recommendations are growing dust.
LACC seem to be like a toothless bulldog.
Well, LACC has done a wonderful work on Councillor Martin. It has moved.
What are the results?
Well, it's different. Look, if you make a case, and his job is to make the case for prosecution. He's not a prosecutor. He's to make a compelling case. It's to build a case around some of the facts and some of what he has. Now, LACC boss goes to the retreat, and people in the government begin to attack LACC boss. So you can see an environment where and we need a success story. The president can take on this and say, look, we're going to accelerate the cases of corruption. We're going to make sure LACC is strengthened. It has the teeth to bite. It will be feared and respected and treated with deference. People will take this stuff serious.
And do you think President Weah has that phase to do what you're saying in terms of standing to have this issue about corruption to be brought to a point where even those of the people in government will know that it is something to be very careful of.
So President Weah, he gives some mixed signals. I'll be honest with you. He gave mixed signals on issue of corruption. Take, for example, there's a sanction. The president said, I'm launching an investigation. He names nobody to be chairman of investigation. He gives no time for investigation. He says nothing further about investigation. You cannot placate the audience. You cannot engage in cosmetic solution on issues that require bold leadership. You cannot be putting a plaster on a broken bone. You have to treat it as serious issue. Your commitment has to align with your actions. If your actions is different from your commitment, it raises question about your sincerity, and he needs to do that. You cannot.
What do you think the president needed to do when he made the announcement about those sanctioned officials and now resigned officials?
He made a commitment. I was launch an investigation. Nothing happened. He did not even set up a committee. He did not even set up a commission.
So what it has done to his government?
It raises question whether he was only doing it to make sure the Americans feel okay, to appease the American. The solution to corruption is not appeasement. The solution to corruption is not cosmetic solution. It's bold leadership. It's taking actions that look serious and measurable. And I think if that had happened, look at the signs that were sent about the sanction. If those actions were taken, it could have prevented the sanction. It could have slowed down the wheels that were rolling to unleash the sanction. But I think the president is conflicted. He's conflicted about these things. One day he's bold, one day he goes soft. So he's pulled, apparently he's pulled by different advisors. One group of advisors pulled him left, one group of advisors pulled him left. So he's struggling to find his balance.
In your thinking, the president lacks his independent will of judgment.
Well, I would say the president lacked the clarity, the courage to take a stand that will hurt anybody he cares about. He does not have that courage. President Weah does not have the courage to be bold on corruption. President Weah is a transactional. We want him to be a transformational leader who is willing to do something no one has done, who's willing to make someone angry. And if he does that, he will be glorified and celebrated in this country. If he does that, if President Weah take that bold steps and say, today, you're my friend, but I got to save this country. I got to change direction. Whatever has happened in the last 5 years, but there's 1 year I will change direction. I have not seen that boldness, that courage in him. And I think it exists in him. He need to activate it.
Kiatama, like you said, a lot of Liberians, those of the people that voted this government, had a mindset that all of the problems were to be solved, thinking that, okay, this is the George Weah. He has been playing soccer. He's not been into politics. He's not like the politicians that give false informations out to the people. He comes with such of interest for country. I'm asking this question to know, what are your thoughts about how did we arrive at this point where you will have people, complaining on a daily basis, people talking about how prices are very high, they barely, get their daily bread. And they talk a lot about difficulties in the country. How did the government, from your own thoughts and seeing things happen in the country, how did the government reach this point, you think?
Well, I think the crisis is an important moment to define a leader. Some leaders, crisis made them even greater. And I think President Weah, one of the things about the government, let's take a step back, is just communicating the issues. Sometimes people are confused. Take, for example, the rice issue, right? The president comes to the airport and says, "Oh, that thing I got it." They in the same statement and say, "What is smoke? There's fire." So apparently, one advisor tells him, "Yeah, don't listen to that." Another advisor him, "I meant that is here." So he clashes with his two ideas which you want to express or how to express in a smooth way. So he contradicts himself. And instead of so that contradiction is a reflection. And then after a few times, then acknowledge there's a problem. And so you begin to wonder, so there's a sense of roundtable. So an American official once said, what is missing in the government is a sense of roundtable.
Mm.
So Sekou is having a technical problem as voice of Liberia. He brings his team together and says, look, gentlemen, what is the issue? But there's not a sense that people are sitting across the table and looking at all the different aspects. And so one minister says something, another person comes says different thing, says different thing. The president is a human being. He's pulled in so many different directions on the same issue, different opinion. So he ultimately is the decider. These people, policy advisors, their job is to give you options. You, the leader, make the decision. The president has not shown he's decisive on some critical issues in the country, has not taken a stand and said, this is my position. The president's position will evolve over time on an issue, for example.
So in most cases, you think they are all recommendations or suggestions to the president on actions or decisions he's taking?
Well, I think some could be independent. The president has a sense of some of this issue, but these issues are not as easy as his understanding. These issues are deep, are complex, and are grounded in some of the long broken. This is a broken, dysfunctional system that was existing in Liberia for so long, that have been milked and exploited by all hands in the game who know all the corner in how government works. So the president is new to this business, and also, so sometimes his decision look like he's not settled on it, but he had to speak on it. And like, I'm not fully grasp, I'm not fully taking a decisive stand, but I need to speak on it, or my officials need to speak on this issue before it is misinterpreted, or people attach negative intent to some of our action. So sometimes I wish the president would say, look, on this rights issue, I would prove I'm equal to the task. I will rise to the occasion. I will take some punitive action. Those who brought us here, those who created the crisis, will face some consequences. And when he does that, the people begin to say, okay.
You think President Weah has the ability to do such?
That's what I'm saying. I've not seen that yet in a really decisive way. President Weah has a government for 5 years. He hardly fires anybody. So that should tell you something. Except you do something that, like you say, God does not exist, or you go on the street, you take out your clothes, then you fire.
So he hardly fires. So
they may not fire nobody. So everybody's on a 10-year position in the country. As long as you work for a job, you're on 10-year. You don't need a contract for 10-year position. You're on 10-year position. So I think this is the issue. And that's his style. But that style does not work for a population that is hungry and thirsty for something new, for change and transformation. They're waiting because they have been exposed and subjected to this broken system for years.
Do you think some of the promises the government made, or when CDC was in opposition, giving hope to the people, like they said, change for hope, right? Are they fulfilling some of the promises, you think? Are you seeing some of the indications that, okay, probably even though things are difficult, but they've been able to fulfill maybe 90% of the promises they made to the Liberian people?
I don't think the government even fulfill 40% of the promise. Forget about 90. You've been too nice. I love your concern for them. But we have to be realistic and honest. We cannot beautify a pain. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a beautiful pain. A pain is pain. You know what I'm saying? So the government has done some work on roads. That done some good work on roads. That's one.
Is it sufficient to the expectation of the people?
No, obviously not. But it's something they can stand.
They can point to.
They can point to. You need something to point to. You need something to brag about. You need something to boast of. So that is that. The other aspect was that I think the security the security of the country, the departure of the peacekeeping force, stabilizing the country. I think that is now personal security, but people deaf, missing people. That's a different question. But in terms of larger security questions around the country, also a post-conflict country that could go back to war, that could spiral out of control, I think they have done, in the absence of international peacekeeping force, I think that they made some good work. And in the economy, the conditions have stabilized, but the fundamental issue of bread and butter people get food on their table. That issue is we're still struggling with that. The issue of job, giving access to people. The issue of large-scale investment in the country. President Weah's team has not brought large-scale investment in the country that will employ 10,000 people, 20,000 people. So what we see is a trickle of one big investor coming to the airport with one bag. They're not opening factory. They're not hiring more than 5,500 people. Lebanese men are coming, Chinese men are coming with a one bag, they're signing deal, But they're not changing the employment condition. They're not changing the job and hiring space. They're not expanding that space. They're not giving access people to more opportunity. So when these conditions exist, we are surviving, but not progressing. We want to progress. We want progress. We want prosperity. We just don't want to survive the storm. We want to overcome the storm. We want to be living in comfortable conditions, not in the survival mode.
What do you think are the reasons why, since this government took over, she has not received that level of investment or investors coming in Liberia? Is it lack of trust or what?
Well, that is a very, and that is the question I think the president, as a president, I would have asked. I would ask my investments commission, look, my man, somebody somewhere in the world is bringing investors in another country. Why we can't bring investors here? Why we're not bringing large-scale investors that high intent? Because the government hires about 60,000, 70,000 people. If you got 5 investment, big large-scale investment, high 10, 20,000, they can pay as many people as the government has. So you create a private sector where the people don't need to depend on the government job, but they also increase their revenue base because these people are paying taxes. So revenue, social security taxes. So they're increasing your revenue base. So why is this Liberia a ghost town? Is it Liberia a scary place? Is it Liberia a war zone that people cannot come and put in large-scale investment? And other countries are receiving that kind of investment. So maybe, and that is the question of, can the president say, look, can we do something different? Who in the world can do this better than us? Let's bring that person on and do it. See Rwanda.
To seek for international assistance?
International assistance, technical assistance on bringing large-scale investment. They got firms around the world who all they do is find large-scale investment. Go for them. Even if it's me, there's no shame in this game of governance.
But this government is noted for entering into some international agreements with lobbyists. They didn't end up well.
So, look, I've not. If the lobbyists would have helped, we would not have sanctions. No, the lobbyists, and I work with a few of the Liberian government lobbyists, Greenberg Tuareg, but I feel that the investment in lobbyists did not have the return for the country. It did not prevent anything major. Besides that, the lobbyists got to sell something to the U.S. government. You got to be doing something that they sell. You can't say, look, I'm stealing, go lobby for me, and let it look at me differently, or I'm doing the wrong thing, go lobby for me. Lobbying does not work that way. Lobbyists got to tell something, say, look, these people are making progress. We know they may not meet certain requirement of your standard, but give them some time because we see a transformation. If you engage in punitive action, it will disrupt the progress. So because of that, give them time. But the kind of money we invest in lobby is too much money. No, the U.S. government sent us several messages. One message was the ambassador talked about the J.J. Robert analogy. Basically, he highlighted corruption. Linda Greenfield, the U.S. representative to the UN, emphasized corruption. The joint congressional statement, joint resolution of the United States Congress on the bicentennial highlighted corruption. In fact, in that resolution, they opened the window, they opened the door for punitive action, including sanctions. The anti-investment climate report, investment climate report in Liberia, they said Liberians engage in perversive corruption. When somebody say you're perversive, I mean you're pervert. You're incurably corrupt.
Beyond
human
imagination.
So they're basically sending all the signs. So if the president has said, look, Americans, we see your messages. Tell us 3 most important things we need to do. We'll set up a joint team, a technical team, and we'll meet once a month. And I'll tell you the progress we've made. They would have disrupted
the sanction.
the sanctions. But what they saw was that they saw a non-challenge,
Hmm.
and it did not feel, look, the president would have come and make a bold statement nationally, take some firm actions, fire some people necessary, strengthen and accelerate some of the cases, the backlog of cases, and make sure, say, look, we have now a new commitment. What has happened, but we're not going to allow this to happen. We're going to take a new direction. If he had done that, if he had called for national discussions on corruption, maybe invite stakeholders to discuss corruption, the implications of corruption. These people are saying corruption is stealing the future of young people who could have gone to school, but because the family don't have the money, that money would have gone to them, help their family, is depriving thousands of business people opportunity to expand, to create wealth, to create opportunity, and to make sure that Liberia is thriving as an economy. They're making all these cases. But what they said in the investment report was that the money they put bringing for you, they're supposed to bring to your country, the people are taking and putting in their pocket. So basically, that way the president look, the corruption is an institutionalized, entrenched system grounded in our bureaucracy, in our culture, in our way of life. But every leader has to take a different action. You want to ask yourself, what would be my legacy on corruption? Is my legacy on corruption being detached from the issues that matter most, or being bold? What is my legacy on corruption? Corruption is the most critical issue. Every voter, every ordinary Liberian you ask, the problem about every corruption, government and corruption. Something about corruption under your administration will change because of your leadership. And until that is done, they will put you in the same bracket with all other previous leaders. You are the unique Messiah sent to disrupt this history, the curse of leadership failure. And your role has to be different. And that is why the last one I will say, when the American fell alone, when you talk to Sekou, you just need to advise Sekou one time you will change. But you talk to John, you got not John on here before you change. So they say, all the advice will say they're not taking it, we need to do something big so they'll pay attention to us. And so we got to elevate it to sanction. We got to escalate the thing. Because we keep sending all these signs.
What are the signs, some of the actions or workings of government sent out to the Liberian people?
What do you mean?
In terms of, like you said, the government is not maybe doing what she needs to do, particularly the president, in terms of making the people to know that his government is against corruption. And there are some of the things that Liberians see and at the end of the day decide as to how to go. So I'm asking, what are the signs based on the actions, like you said, from the government? Yeah, John Brown will be mentioned in corruption issue, and nothing has been done. You see John Brown on Broad Street. He brags that nothing will happen. Even one point in time where some names are involved into corruption, and the president said he's allowing people to practice democracy where when your name is mentioned in corruption, it doesn't mean that he should dismiss you. You should go through the due process. What is the sign that has been sent to the Liberian people concerning his leadership or the government?
Well, I think President, we are one thing he has. Let's look at the pluses and then we'll look at the minuses. The pluses is that he's loved. People are seen as one of them. They see themselves in him in a lot of ways. They see him as a guy who came from the grassroots. He lived their experience. He was hustler. He was hustler. He was nobody. He was not part of an elite born with silver spoon. So there's that connection, that emotional bond that exists. That is the good part. The other part is that there's always been doubts about President Weah strength on leadership. So I think he's under greater obligations to prove his critics wrong, even the implacable critics. Say, look, you think I could not do this, I'll do this. But sometimes the way things are done, it looks like the government is controlled by small presidents in the presidency more than a big president in the presidency.
What do you mean of that?
Some of the ministers
Okay.
appear more president than the president appear more president. Some of the ministers seems to run the show more than the president run the show. So the small president are acting a BB president, while the big president acting a small president. Sometimes. And sometimes he takes action, but most of the time he's not defined by the strength of his action. He's not defined by that. He doesn't like to engage the public, for example. Look, a president is a communicator. You tell the people, look, you inspire them. You're the empathizers in chief. You're the inspirer in chief. You're the explainer in chief. Take, for example, this rice issue. People got different interpretation of what the crisis is, what the problem is. You define the problem for us and say, I will solve it. And so I can assure you, this problem has come, but I will solve this problem. And in 2 weeks' time, the consumption of rice is about 50,000 a month in the country. I will make sure we got a reserve of 200,000. When you do that, the leader, the fundamental responsibility for leaders is a problem solver. The leader is a problem solver. You must be solving the people problem. You were elected to do nothing but to solve problem. If there was no problem, there will be no need for government.
Now move towards like what you've said. It takes me to a point to we're moving towards the 2023 elections in the country, and you have the opposition are selling their own, candidates. They think that Liberians should listen to them, and they've got the solutions to the problems in country. And also the incumbent is also telling the people, I've started things that need to end. With the way things are happening in the country, are there indicators that it is possible to have the same system, or there could be a change if we move towards 2023 elections?
Well, I think elections year, the government moved to a new direction. Engaging every action is intended to help them win it, to be reelected. So the government will reduce the number of mistakes. The government will do some things intended to, because our people got short attention span. All the thing we're talking.
You think President Weah now will be brave enough to dismiss people that are in wrong in his government?
I don't know about dismiss, but I think he will do something that will make himself
Things
look
like what?
Well, let's say, for example, they will not. Maybe the Christmas pay you pay on time to make sure you pay. I'm just kidding. Maybe you pay the people on time. You have a new relationship with the media, for example. He will begin to speak out more on issues in the country when his voice is needed. He will speak out more, for example. He will connect with issues more. I don't know to what extent President Weah would take strong action, but I think for campaign purposes, they will put him in front on a lot of issues to make sure.
When in front of a lot of issues to engage the people.
Yes, take for example, President Weah, somebody writes issue, for example, if the president, he has the largest microphone in the country. If he uses it, President Weah steps up and says, I'm calling a press conference, I'm engaging the public on this rights issue. It will be so powerful. But that is not his style. Okay. President, we have to use somebody else to do that.
But that's the reason why you have the Ministry of Information.
We got Minister of Information. The president still speaks to the nation. Doesn't matter. The president voice is important. The Minister of Information, I'll be honest with you, they have not done as much as possible to address somebody's concern.
It is because the support has not been provided them.
But if the support is not provided, then they believe that they're not useful. If somebody's not giving you support to do your work, then they believe you're not useful. If you think the person is not useful, then that's part of the problem. Because the Ministry of Information is supposed to be clarifying these doubts, unpacking these complexities, reducing the number of confusion, and making sure people understand basic things about the country. If they're not doing that because of support, then it means that the government don't care. People needs to know what they're doing.
So let's go back to maybe the projections, or what's the possibility of either maybe the incumbent winning or the opposition could take over. What are the possibilities? What are the indicators?
Well, I think that if elections were held 2020, the opposition would have defeated President Weah. There's no debate.
Because you're talking about 2020.
Yeah, I'm coming. Okay. I'm going on a journey. I just passed on Broad Street. I'm coming West Point.
Okay. Let's see.
So because the opposition were united, they had a huge momentum. The public were impressed that there's a clear line between the alternative to President Weah and that whole thing collapsed. 2021. Opposition did not win, but a lot of independent party won seats in Grand Jury. We saw that, right? So the government was still not winning. So the government has had a long losing streak since 2018. They're just losing elections. So there is a groundswell of silent majority who are concerned about the direction of the country. Now, in 2020, we saw 2021, opposition collapsed. I mean, the unity of the opposition collapsed. And that collapse affected also the elections in Lofa. That election in Lofa resuscitated a demotivated CDC to a large extent. It was
The elections in Lofa?
yes,
2020,
2020 was 2022, right?
2022.
Yeah.
You say demotivated?
No, it resuscitated
Okay.
a demotivated CDC
Okay.
because CDC was launching some of the events. They were poorly attended. Lofa were like, we needed something to rebuild our lost momentum. Now, the issue is that the opposition leader themselves made it clear. The only reason we formed CPP, because on our own we can't be president, we are. They said it, not me. So if you look at the argument, means if you keep Remy divided, he could win. They said it on our own. If we could be president, we don't need to form CPP. We form CPP because individually we cannot win president.
Win president.
So collectively, so if that condition no longer exists, if that condition still exists and that unity does not exist, then you are seeing you will win. You are seeing now. Now, President, we have some edge and advantage in terms of being an incumbent in Africa. He's going around. He got a lot of resources. You outspend these people. The government will spend all the money. It will enter the whole treasury. They will do it. I won't lie to anybody. The money will spend. About just spending $1 million, spend $25. So they have huge advantage. But the country, the silent majority, the suffering would be the greatest threat to President Weah. The suffering and conditions of the people, the news of corruption, and the unaddressed issues in the country will be the greatest threat, will give the greatest existential threat.
Do you think this could be possible looking at the way things are happening in the country? Our Ghanaian correspondent, Jonas Biarubi, reported the other time that President Akufo-Addo of Ghana was being chased, booed by the citizens on ground that he's not performing well, things are difficult, the economy is getting bad. Do you foresee some of the things happening when it comes to elections in Liberia? Because when you go out, like you said, there are a lot of complaints out there.
Well,
do you foresee a similar thing based on the way things are? If this continue, maybe we could experience some where you have citizens themselves want to express themselves, and only such time they have to express themselves.
Well, it's hard to predict that now. It will require an event because sometimes it can be spontaneous. We can predict it. One event just blow, get bigger, and people anger reach a boiling point. At that point, you cannot control it. It's possible. It's happened in Liberia before. But the elections, I think, the level of the partners' involvement will reduce the chances for things going out of control. Now, back to the elections. The president we had in CDC will go to the second round, highly likely. But if President Weah goes to the second round and wins in the first round, 35% of the vote, for example, and Cummings or Baka got 30% of the vote, President Weah will be defeated because he will go to the second round as a weak incumbent.
Why the opposition would choose to?
So President Weah goes to the first round. He wins the first round, 35%. Baka wins 30%, right? They go to the second round. 5% margin is too low. They will coalesce.
But is it possible that any of the candidates to win the elections first round with the number required?
The country is too polarized for that. The country is too polarized. And there's not a charismatic, messianic leader that with that kind of huge fame and popularity to come and do that. This is hard. President Weah cannot win first round because the baggages of governance, the missteps of governance, some of the failures of governance, we cannot win first round. Baka has a huge support, lacks the resources. Maybe he will get the resources, but in any case, there'll be new voters. Cummings can put up a good play if he deploy his resources, or if he leverage his resources, if he play his game well, he can be an important challenger. He can even go to the second round if he plays his game. If he plays his game well, this because the new voters going to be registered. They are beholden to no political party. They are loyal to nobody. And that whole voting, you just need 500 to 700,000 votes to take you to the second round. At least 700,000 votes, given the growth in populations. You right? So if you do that, you in the second round and can do very well. Now, so the three major part, and Gonglo could put up a good fight, but the four major players would be President Weah, Boakai, Cummins, and Gonglo, and maybe Akop in the distant fifth. But Akko is on serious trajectory, so I'm not gonna. I could put that zero, man.
You call the people not serious?
And I'm putting that zero.
So now, from your analysis, it tells me that for the president to retain his position could be difficult because from your statement, it says that it is not possible for any of the candidates to win the election the first round. So that means we need to go for what?
Second round.
Second round.
Right.
And so when you go for second round, there where you have the opposition political party to have an collaboration like the same the CDC did in the opposition.
Right.
So it means that there's no possibility of President Weah retaining the position.
No, it's a possibility.
How does it work?
If President Weah wins the first round by a huge margin, say President Weah come, he got 40% of the vote. And in the next runner up to him got 20% of the vote. You cannot close that 20% in 2 weeks. Because the second round, just 2 more weeks. After the first one, you got 2 weeks for the second round. So no one can close that gap. So you need to win by wide margin to guarantee his win in the second. If he does not win by wide margin, they'll coalesce against him to come defeat him.
So I want to get this clear.
The only way, the second way he can survive, maybe offer all kind of jobs. Say, have my government, your take it, I'll get it.
But in that case, most of the people would not believe because
exactly
you've had the LPDP and the other political parties, NPP, right? They've complained about the way jobs are being, distributed. Even though some of the promises made, they've not been able to get a fair share of it. So what is the possibility that when he says such, those of the people around will accept some of the things he's going to be saying?
But it'll be difficult. You just said it right, because the experience with CDC. So NPP will say, look, we got a vice president who's struggling to even get a position up to the third year, fourth year. And you just come in, they may get a power, forget it. That thing, the minister, my man, you know, that campaign talk. We'll find something for you, but I think our campaign talk. So I think they undercut, the sabotage, the negotiation, the future negotiation, the trust that they could have earned. Because what they've done is the MPP experience, we will remind people that, look, MPP went through this thing, we're going to go through the same thing. And so I think that kind of thing, but you got to also understand the people that will be making the decision who to support will look at the numbers. If I think President Weah has 40% and the next person to President Weah in the elections, if Bakai come in, they got 20%. I said, they may going to win already. How Brempo can think, maybe we can find something, for us. So, but if that's not the case, they're going to coalesce. Look, there's a silent majority in this country who are not on the internet, who are not on the radio, who are angry, who are bitter, and who are hungry. They are angry and hungry. The combination of anger and hunger is a powerful force against an incumbent. And when they unleash that power, that anger and hunger, and they unleash in the ballot.
So you have different types of voters. You have the active ones that come on the radio, show their size of support, and you have the undecided voters too, right? And you have those of the people that, like you said, they're not the talking type.
The silent one, yeah.
Silent ones that don't come. So how can you, generalize them in a way that, or maybe make an analysis in a way that, okay, for example, those of the people that don't talk, they don't come on the radio. They are very silent people that they don't say. The only thing they do, they go on election day and vote. How can the workings of the government suit them to a point that they decide either to go for the government or to go against the government.
So the president has to do something that shows that, look, I try in the first year, we made some mistakes. I've learned a lot and I'm moving a new direction. And to know I'm serious, I'm taking these actions, I'm doing these things. He has to do something dramatic, something big, something unbelievably huge, some kind of admittance that, look, there was a mistake here, but here's what I would do to change. And the first year, look, I've done some good work. These work with all the progress we made will be reversed if we don't give me a chance to sustain the progress. I need a few more time to complete what I started. Some other things require more. We've learned a lot. I think in the first year, the second year, we would have done this. So he needs to make something kind of book, and the people have to believe it.
So making such a statement is one thing.
Yeah, people have to.
But being realistic of what he's saying is another thing.
Right. So people got. I agree with you. You got to be realistic. People got to believe it, because the message that people believe is what they act on at the ballot box. The message they don't believe, they don't act on it. If they believe you're talking true, if they believe they can give you a second chance, you would do better than the first time, they will vote for you. But what do they have to count on to say this would be different? What do they have to count on? So the president has to either say something or do something that they have never heard or never seen, and that is credible enough, that is realistic enough, and they believe he will fulfill his commitment. And we've just cited an example of the MPP situation.
Have you heard about the disenchanted seditions?
Yes.
And how do you compare their issues with this issue about believability?
Well, I think this is very strange reality around disenchanted sedition. I've followed a few things after the midterm. Good number of them were disenchanted. They're supposed to go to the party headquarters, supposed to protest, and they call them on the side, they die. But one thing about disenchanted
as soon as they get the promise,
they leave. And so they always existed. Same person we have been to power, you know what I'm saying? So I think that they have made the case that they've been left out, that their conditions have not been attended to, and that the president have not fulfilled certain kind of commitment. Now, to what extent are they organized enough to move the president to a new direction? Because the party itself does not have that kind of power like most the governing party. CDC does not have that kind of power to influence governance as a party. So the power in most countries where the political party, the two-way party was powerful. The ANC was powerful in South Africa, where they could tell Zuma and say, you're going the wrong way. CDC, the power is shifted away from the voice of the political party is the voice of the top players in the government. So the political party will raise the issue and then it died down. So the movement is not residing in the party. The movement, the strength of the movement is in the few people around the president. So the power of that, so look, our movement, this is not a direction going. You got to change. They don't have that power to move the president to a new direction, the leadership of the party itself. So the party is only strong in terms of operational strength, not philosophical, ideological strength that they wield to the extent where they're so influential. The president said, look, the party is angry because at some point, the players around the presidency is the president's strength that brought into power, not necessarily the party.
Are there areas where this government can boast of and take that message or the messages to the people and make them to understand that, okay, even though we've not done all you think we should have done, but yeah, some of the tangibles we've been able to do, and based on the tangibles, there were difficulties, and we've understood some of the things, and we're about to make some of these things right.
Well, and that has to be a really great strategy. You know, who's the messenger? Some people in the government, no one believes them anymore because their voice is no longer rings in people's ears the right way, because they may say a lot of things that has not come to. But I think if the president does that, there's uniqueness about him.
You think there's still a trust exists amongst Liberians about the president?
There's some quarters people like the president, and look, people are gonna vote in terms of alternative. People are more comfortable with Sekou than a rich guy who about to open a radio station.
Mm.
Yeah, but I prefer the world with Sekou. He understand my cultural context, my environment. But I think there are a lot of people who no longer believe this president, no matter what he says, because they said it could have. Because at some point after midterm, they said they're going to recalibrate. The president going to do the cabinet will be reshuffled. So everything that came that looked like the president will take action after the election does not happen. So people have lost faith in George Weah being bold. People have lost confidence in that George Weah would do something that would be so dramatic. That they believe that George Weah would he will only do the usual, make press statements, say some things here and there, but he would not do something that would be so bold that would shake the foundation of power or put fear in ministers to behave. People don't believe that ministers fear President Weah that much. I mean, they don't think that their performance matter to the president as much as if you praise singing low, it replaces your performance. I mean, to many people. So that's what I'll say.
And so you think getting out to the people it's something that's going to be difficult because either you have the president himself taking the message or the messages to the people.
Mm-hmm.
Without the president, it becomes a problem.
It becomes a problem. Those who could be believed, basically those in the rural Liberia, maybe a superintendent who still well respected, maybe the chief who is seen as a person that really people trust and has earned his respect and would not mislead them. But people in the government to be a good messenger will be a difficult thing. I will lie to you.
Before we move on to some other important issues, we'll go to the lines. And you heard me talked about this issue, and maybe you didn't listen, or the way at times the government enters into agreement with some other institutions. Then most of the agreements, one would thought that you think about the best interest of the country and the government, what the government stands to benefit. Is it a good deal where you have 60-40? For example, the Ministry of, not example, but the Ministry of Labor, who has been generating our own money through, permit for non-ECOWAS citizens. They've been generating some, maybe 1 million plus yearly, and they've taken that contract, given it to another company where there's no sophistication required to do said process. And 5 million D for 5 years and 60-40 is a good deal, you think, for a country where she is to generate her own money to support the national budget?
Bad deal. Look, I think that some of the decisions by the government are not carefully thought out. Okay. And there's a lack of sense of roundtable around what are the best options. Is this deal good for the benefit of citizens, for example? So I think that a deal that gave us advantage is a good deal, right? And if someone, and a lot of time with issue of kickback, people make deals that they get kickback from. So they're more concerned about the amount of the kickback than the extent of the benefit to those who they should be representing. And so that is why you need presidential leadership to be bold and say, look, you follow my lead. Anything that smells like a kickback, any agreement that is framed in fashion or designed with a kickback, that person will be penalized. If President, we have set example one person, and every minister will shake in their boots, they'll be afraid, they'll be careful, they will think differently, they'll behave differently, they will construct deals differently, they will sign deals differently, and they will engage in negotiation differently. So the ultimate thing is the president stepping in a different way and sending the loudest and clearest message across the systems of government. So this is where I stand. But at some time, people are conflicted to know what the president is. The president is missing on the issue. He's missing in the room. His voice is not present. You don't know what he thinks, whether he agree, whether he disagree, or what is okay or is not okay. Until it is a crisis in the open or in the public, then the president is forced to step out to say something.
How can this, you think, can be settled? Because now it is a law, though, and 5 million and 22 vehicles being presented, motorbikes, and you have a company that are going to take 40% share of every monies that are going to be collected, even though there are some, rejections and everything. Is there any way that this can be re-looked at in the process, that to have this entire thing done properly? When you to talk about shares, you think how many percent should be given to them?
Maybe 20% or 25%. You, look, create a competition. Find another company, do an open bid, international open bid, and say any company that you will find a company that go lower than that, doing the same work. But it is not in the interest of the negotiator on behalf of the government, maybe. Most time these cases are because the negotiator is the one that find the company and there's an agreement outside the agreement to bring it. And we'll give that 40%, you know what it means for me. No company will get 40% and they ain't got to do certain thing to do certain thing. Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the opposition before we go to the lines. Do you see any prospects in the opposition looking at the way they're doing things? Today, you listen to ANC is having problem with
Biometrics,
biometric issue,
right.
and then you listen to Liberty Party. You have the Yomlika Lawrence fraction and that Musa Ability fraction. You got the Unity Party as well. There's no unity as they move towards the 2023 elections. Do you think they're going to be a unique marriage as we move towards the 2023 election? Is there any indication that maybe some of the problems that we've observed in the country will be settled before we move to elections?
So there are two ways the opposition can represent a threat to the ruling elite. One way is to unite, but another way, second round. If you can achieve a unity first round, second round, if they smell victory, they will be forced to a unity. All the followers will lead and leave the leaders on the side, because the followers, look, somebody who does not like President we are will not vote for President we are because Baka and Communist United.
But is there any possibility the way they've gone to the extent, gone to court?
So here's what could happen. The enthusiasm among the opposition community could be dampened, or could lead to voter fatigue, low turnout, because they're not inspired, they're not encouraged, they're not motivated. And that works for the ruling party. You know what I'm saying? I do not see no. You think every time there is a recovery from the conflict, it gets worse. And there's so many different angles, definitely with 2 angles, 3 more coming next month. Charlie Bronsky basically saying, I'm on Benedict side and I'm going to run. And that tells me that the conflict has gone to a new level, because you saw the law when marched to the election commission, So because they've reached a high level of the land, of the law of the land, which is the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court now go there, the Supreme Court says, my man, the Supreme Court, you have made legal decision, the political crisis still remain. So I think if you look at that from that angle, you have a problem. But look, there is a silent majority who are concerned about the direction of the country. If they get united and say we want to change this leadership, nothing from the opposition community will change. It will only lead them to say, well, second round will resolve these issues because they're beyond resolution. But I think it is still a challenge. It is not a guarantee, because there's a division in the opposition guarantee President we have victory. It gives it an advantage. It does not guarantee victory, but it gives in an advantage.
How do you see the 2023 elections? Were you to do comparison, can you compare the 2023 elections to then 2017 in terms of how tough it's going to be?
2023 is going to be a very consequential election in Liberian history.
Then 2017?
Oh yeah. No, 2023, it's not going to be easy, my man. No, because a few things. People are determined to take President Weah out. And President Weah and his team feel this election, it's not a joke. If they loses the election, if they lose the election, opposition will come after them, their property, everything. They will try them. I think they will be dealt with. They will be chased there. They'll chase the all over Africa. They'll tell American people to be sanctioned and all China. This is not going to be a joke. So they know what it takes. They got everything at stake. They lose the election. They will go after them. This opposition is vicious, is ready to catch, is ready to go after them. So there's no joke here. They know that. That is why they will not take the election for a joke. They will put everything on the line because they know the price they will pay. They will that thing that they were telling people will not will try for corruption. These people they will try them for corruption. They go after their properties, their girlfriend, their property, their side chick, their property, their family, their property. And this is going to happen. And the other aspect is that um, the opposition, if they don't win these elections, it will be a political space will change. Baka may not run again. It could be a complete change of political face. You have a whole new generations. You got it. This could be, but the election is consequential because these political parties will reach the limit. Look, if ANC does not win elections, I don't know how long it's going to survive. If Unity Party does not win election, how long it's going to survive? If CCC does not lose election, that would they will be as viable. I see with MPP, Chancellor won 75.1% with no coalition, and they die. But not died. They still, but they did not exist as strong as possible on their own. They could not figure Kenya on their win and win an election, right? So I think the election will be consequential. There are too many things on the ballot. There's the issue of whether some of the fundamental issues, some of the political players will be aging. So I mean, this election is just consequential more than 2017 election. 2017 election was an open field. There was no incumbent running. The 2000 election, no incumbent was running. It was interim government was conducting election 2000. No, I'm sorry, Ellen Johnson was not running, but Barker was running. For example, so it was a continuation whether we're going for Ellen or having a new chapter. So I think the election will be more consequential than 2007. I will say that way.
Okay. So let's go to the lines and take some of your calls. Those of you listening, you're listening to the program Issues of Today right here on Voice of Liberia 104.1. Our prime guest is Mr. Abdullah Kiatamba. He's been explaining a lot here on the program this evening on Issues of Today on Voice of Liberia. We'll go to the lines on 0770 907 907 0770 907 907 0880 907 907 0880 907 907 0770 907 907 are the two numbers to join us here this evening on the program Issues of Today. Let's take your calls now and listen to you. This person. Hello. Good evening. Hello. Yes, good evening. Oh, you're coming in very bad, though. Yes, go ahead. Okay, we need to take another person on the line. Hello. Hello. Good evening. Yes, good evening.
Seko?
Yes, you're live.
How you doing?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
My name is Larisco. I call from Wokiam, Pakope.
You just need to move from your monitor because we're getting your feedback is bad. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm out already now.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Ketamba, how you doing?
How are you, my friend?
I admire your eloquence and I like your contribution this morning.
Say this
afternoon, I'm sorry. The election, as you just rightfully stated, it will be a tough one. It will be tougher than 2017 because, as you said, some of the political actors today will not be able to run again if they lost the election. So I think it's very important for the opposition to come together. But as you rightfully stated, Mr. Katamba, even if they cannot come together, the first round, second round, they will still come together and get Joe out of power. Because I think they...
Okay, we're taking another person on the line. He left the line. Hello? Hello? Oh, okay. So I'm gonna use this line. Okay. So please, the two alternative lines are 0770942048, 0770942048, 0886942048, 0886942048 are the two alternative lines. Our line here, the calls are coming too many, but whenever you call on two persons calling at a time, you don't have the clarity. So the alternative lines are 0770942048, 0770942048, 0880942048, 0886942048. Let me take this person. Hello. Good evening.
Hello, sir.
Good evening. You live.
Yeah, I'm Lago Global calling from
Calling from where?
Single Thirsty.
Go ahead, my brother. Let's hear you.
Yeah, it's not a mistake that you made. Your choice of having your studio guest is very excellent, and in fact, even your studio guest have done well. But we appreciate his analysis. It's just the reality. It's just the reality. And I believe that he's in Liberia to understand Liberian problem, because he said initially that understanding Liberian problem and understanding the system when you are in Liberia is different, and understanding the system when you are away is also different. So I believe that he giving a clear analysis of the reality. I believe he's here because that is exactly the very important issue, the day-to-day activity that he just explained here.
Okay, thank you. Let me take another person. Oh, too bad. I need to let you go. I don't need to keep you on the line. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. You live.
Yes, good evening. My name is Sekou Chevi. I call you for Dolphin Bay,
Go ahead, Doma.
Yeah, thank you, Kakama. I'm very admired this man saying he lost a lot of school. Yeah, he said everything. This election, it will be more than 20 Sunday. Because 20 Sunday, the person that was in charge, the person waiting for protection, and the protection will go into now. That was something on he does President William. She was in power, so we can't compare 2017 to 2023. 2023, some people will be going go further, and some people will be, aspiring, and also again what I'm praying for. Even they're not united now. Even they're not united the first one before the election. But somebody needs to put somebody to take the name out of the power. Thank you for your show, Katama. I love you so much, my brother.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Let me take more calls here on the program. The news is coming up next. Let me come to this line here to take this person on the line. This person. Hello.
Good evening, Sekou.
Good evening.
Oh, good evening to your studio guys.
Thank you.
That must be so Advocate Tama.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Sekou, let me say thank Ali for being saying no to the day school. The fact of the matter is that what a period of time for some of all, why you will run be pushing for. The bread and butter issue, for now, is tell her, that is more matter for the ruling party. So the reason is that you will be calling for people in Assembly to go endorse the president second term bill. No, the fight is that you should be willing to reconcile. To reconcile, don't allow people who are pushing away for the party. You should create a program. We are set to happen to reconcile for the people. So people who are seeing that they feel that today they are being they are being abandoned. They are being pushed away for the party.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me take this person on the line here. Hello. Good evening.
Yeah, how are you?
Go ahead, sir.
First of all, I want to say thank you for the topic. Actually, first of all, my name is Liberia-VOL calling from Tua Street.
Mm-hmm.
The electoral council will be difficult. Will not be easy thing. First, I want to send this message to the president. There's more to do before 2023. There are a lot of disenchanted citizens, silent disenchanted citizens who are out there just waiting for the time to reach. You got more to do when you have to call those disenchanted citizens or those guys who left the party or those who infect or who infect with me and say, you did something to got problem. We call these guys back, put them together, talk to them. Seriously, the president got more to do before 2020 ends.
Thank you. Let me take this person. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, man. Y'all put it on
Go ahead, somebody on the line. Go ahead. Are you on the line? Okay, let me take another person here. You already on the line. You needed to make use of it. This person.
Hello. Hello, Sekou.
Good evening.
I want to say thank you for this program tonight. My attention has been drawn to the topic. If we talk about the election come 23, it will not be an easy thing. It's not only the disenchanted sedition, but there were other people that were sitting on the fence that supported this regime. They are frustrated, and some of them will not even vote for the government this time around. There are a lot of things that are happening that are hurting the people feeling. Things that the government that have not delivered the bread and butter issue. This is why I can say the ruling party will find it very difficult this time around. Even the opposition, if they are not united, at the second round, those that were sitting on the fence will vote for the opposition. Trust it or believe it. So the government needs.
Thank you. Let me take another person on the line. Hello? Hello? Good evening.
Good evening, Sekou. How you doing?
I'm okay. Your name?
And good evening to your studio guest. This is John D. Tamba from around the St. Paul River this evening.
Let's hear you.
Sekou, I must commend you the direction you're taking in the political, how they call it, media landscape. You're on the right direction, well balanced.
Okay. I don't know whenever the calls are coming. Let me take this person. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
You need. Okay. Hello.
Is that landline phone?
Yeah. Hello. Hello. Yes. Okay. Let me take this person on this side.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, my name is Faduka. I'm calling from Yukutan.
Yes. Go ahead. Okay. Thank you very much. That is not you're not on the air. I don't know. Let me take this person here. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
The phone keep going up. I don't know what the problem.
So go ahead, sir.
Those guys who are around the president call themselves government official. Those guys are very mean. They are very, very mean. Seriously, they are mean to the masses. They don't stretch out to the people. The president who come out from the masses can't stretch out to the people. The president gave you guys power, put you guys around to be able to help you. You guys be able to stretch out to the masses. Those guys are very mean. Thank you, Sekou.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Let me take this person here. The calls are many. Hello.
Hello, Sekou.
Yes.
Yes, I'm calling for Berry Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I listen to your studio getting for the topic on discussion, but I listen to your studio clarity of what you want him to know. You cannot make decision for anyone. People make decision when they please. There's a president where will not make decision the way you want him to do it. People are different. Leadership are different. People wrong self the decision in a different way. So you cannot say what person we're not doing it well, what person we're not doing it well. And I bet you.
Oh, okay. The lines, when the calls are too many, then you have okay, let me take another person.
President, what will be the good? President, what will be the good? You're not even settle. Then you're waiting for when kind of time you will settle that. I think you can one day thing do. You're not even settle for now. You cannot even settle your home. Your home first before you think that you will go to the election and defeat president. I can assure you, you will not defeat him. Never. I'm saying that today, I'm going to take my name and marathon from Perry Street. You will not defeat President Weah. Even the opposition, even think that there will be a second round, there will be no second round. He will beat you good with that. I can assure you that.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. This person. Hello.
Hello?
Yes. Hello.
Okay. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I've listened to all of the comments made the studio guest. I think he tried his best, did well. But I don't know really whether we have opposition. Are you there?
You live. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Todman J. Nyanti calling from Cornwall, Greenland. I don't know whether we really have oppositions in the country. For the fact that all of these people that we are talking about, the various political parties here, even including our father Boakai, whether they are really competent of ruling this country. You talk about corruption. Yes, we know that there are corruptions everywhere. But the issue of corruption, we don't know.
Okay.
It's corrupt and you are part of that government, you resign. But your father Boakai sat there. And these people you're talking about earning children, all of them got rich from that. He never talked. He never resigned. Now, indeed, he is talking about another corruption. But even though I'm not going that route, but it pinch me a lot. Another thing that I have to say is that we don't have politicians in Liberia, my brother. Let me tell you something.
Who do we have?
We have graduate seekers, not politicians. In fact, all of the platforms that I listen to, all of the radio stations are monitored. Nothing that you can, no new thing that you can find in a platform. What all that we are there?
Oh God, I don't know. Okay, let me take this person on the line here. Sorry, won't you leave the line? I don't know. We need to change this. Hello.
Yeah, good evening, Sekou.
Good evening.
Thank you, man. I'm Emmanuel M. Tupac Jr., and I call you from a resident community.
Emmanuel, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. But Sekou, before I continue the Lunsa number, the Lunsa gave it off. So
it's not off. People are calling.
Okay, anyway, let me take into Atamba, then following him, especially appearing on so many radio platforms and making his contribution on critical national issues. But Sekou, I also want to appreciate you for your critical say. I listened to you when you were giving analysis on the finger and all those things. Thank you for the information you are giving Liberian people. As a citizen, we remain unbending. We will support what is right. And what is called for, we're going to support it for. Any kind of corruption that will detract from certain situation, we will fight against it and we'll speak against it. So Honor Katamba, I think you need to define your role, in the Liberian politics. We don't know where you stand because sometimes you go with Julius. We don't know where you stand. Whether you support Mr. Cummings or you support one guy or other independent person. I think as the situation is looking, I think there's a name.
But the man forced to be politician.
But he's involving every aspect of politics, So I think when someone comes on the platform, people want to see when the person speaking from, we really want to critique your analysis. But then if you cannot get where you come from, where you stand as you speak, then you leave it in a limbo. That's what I'm saying. I think it's necessary that he provides this kind of clarity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's take this. You may say you man tell where you stand. You can just be everything, but I don't know can tell where you stand. Okay. Yeah, let's take this person. Hello.
Yes, how you doing? Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening also to Adula Katama.
How are you, sir? Thank you, sir.
Yes, good player in our country. You are a reservoir of knowledge, but some people take it different now. The government, the surrounding, those that surround the president will be the cause of a defeat. We have many bad guys around here. When it comes to Akko is not sleeping. This is Reverend J. Morris Bowie. We are operating Operation Food. We watch and see where the spoon will reach before the mouth will be. When we get there, you will have to know. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll take this person again on the line. We will soon call it a day. Hello. Good evening. Hello. Okay, we take another person, take this person off the line. Hello. Hello. Good evening.
I think I'm okay. I'm Arasoba calling from Sender Bell. Brother, your analysis very well. And your still gets that he make it for all Liberians. You know, one thing, for one, I'm not against the presidency, but the mistakes that made, he had a job where he couldn't manage it well. He won all the titles, best or all best, that no African player or any player in the world will win. Liberia had not even surfaced anywhere with the first time when South Africa, he turned Lusa into pieces. Let's say if I tell you to scripture, if the man cannot control a horse well, can he lead the people of the nation? Hello?
Go ahead, you live.
Really, look, when I voted the CDC reason where I now wanted one party state for the Unity Party to continue.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm not taking calls again. Let me go to the news is coming up next. 8 minutes to 9. And we need to go for the news at 9 o'clock. Katama, you listen to the calls.
Well, I think those are good calls, and this is the whole purpose is interactive engagement, alternative perspective. There are a few calls that I'd like to highlight, and that is someone said the president going to win no matter what, and I think that's the kind of the country's polarized. Some people believe George we're going to win no matter what you say, but other people are also saying it's going to be a difficult election. So everything was said. We had different callers that spoke to. The other one is the guy who said where I stand. So, and this is part of the problem in Liberian politics. When I come to a radio station, Sekou invite me, I do not come here to use CDC mandate or template to speak on an issue. Basically saying my understanding is based on what the party say or use an opposition position. My position, I understand the issue, so I speak on issues based on the merit of the issue, the substance of the issue. So basically it's saying, it will begin to do that, begin to say, okay, the doctors got to, or this guy who's a technocrat got to look at him based on what the party say. The entire country cannot look at issues on the party on a party basis. I will side with issues, any issues that hurt the ordinary suffering people, I stand with them. Any issue that hurt the ordinary people. There's the second aspect that we look at the merit of the issue. We're just discussing public education. Public education is not taking place for voters because we sell our agenda. We don't sell the issues on the merit. We don't tell here the pluses, the minuses, the merits and demerits of the issue. We come and talk about the party agenda. So a party, for example, the party does not want you to talk about the rights issue because it will hurt the party chances. But it's important to talk about because it's hurting the people. So I prefer to talk about it without using the party mandate language because it addresses the people issue. So I think my role is that there's no need for somebody to come and tell you what party.
Are you a sedition?
I've never been a sedition. I supported the government before, and I supported the government, playing the person we have visited, supported the party, but I'm not a card-carrying sedition.
But are you still supporting the party and the government?
I support good governance. I support.
No, I'm not asking you as to what are the things you support.
Right.
I'm asking you. You said you've supported the government.
Right.
Are you still supporting the government?
I support the success of the government. Let's put it that way.
No, be straight to the point.
No, but what I'm saying is I support the success of the government.
Also, your own friendship is only on the good side.
No, my own friendship is I want the person to do the good thing. I'll support that. If the person does wrong, I support that. But I can't make a blanket support.
No, in supporting the government, it has nothing about two ways. You either be, he or she.
No, but that's not how I look at it. You can look at he or she. I don't look at he or she. So my history with this government is a support for the government. but I also raise issues on the government.
So what differentiates you now from
right.
the bad and you go ahead with the good?
So here's what made me different from any other supporter. Some supporter will support the government red or wrong because that is their side. I don't do that. I use my voice to disrupt the government from doing bad. Some of the positions I take, no regular citizen would take that, or no supporter of the government would take that. Because their style of says that I support Sekou as a candidate. If Sekou made a mistake on the rest issue, I support Sekou because that's my side.
So meaning you one of the disenchanted seditions.
I'm not disenchanted. There's nothing called disenchanted in my book. I'm not disenchanted by anything. I'm not disenchanted. I'm not disenchanted. I'm concerned about the direction of the country. I support it, but I'm concerned about the direction of the country.
It is this of your recent trip now. You've been very vocal. You've not been heard saying some of the things you're saying currently in country though.
I've always done that. My
been
position,
that critical.
No, I've not been critical. I've been very forceful,
and being realistic.
But realistic. That's what I would say. I've been realistic. If the government does, I think I'm okay with one time, and I said, if the elections were held today at that particular time, Joe could have won. The guy said, "Oh, the guys are surrogate officers." I said, "Okay," but the thing is different. I do not play the partisan position. My role as an analyst to analyze issue. I did not come here representing a citizen in the studio. So you can wear the hat you're wearing. If you in your seat right now, you play the role of a host, be objective and balanced. That's what I do as an analyst. I'm not a party representative in the studio.
As we leave, what is your two messages? One to the government that you support, like you said, and one to the opposition.
I think my support, my suggestion to the president is that he has to do a lot more, because internationally he's seen as he running a government that is plagued with incurable problem like corruption. And the country, I think the president has not done one reconciliation. I want to see the president do more on the issue of Zogos. I want to see the president step up more on the issue of the food crisis, for example, not only to address it.
It's not unique to Liberia, though.
No.
Other countries around the world have been faced.
Other countries are also finding solutions. Because we all sick does not mean we all equal. Other people are sick, they're taking medicine. Other people are sick, they're not taking medicine. We're not taking our medicine that the doctor prescribed for us. So we think of short term and the long term. I want to see the president, Samuel Dewar, working on agricultural project. I want to see the president go on his farm. Nelson president, we are on his farm before. So he has to set his example. So I want the president to step up differently. To the oppositions, I think you need to provide alternative prescription on the issue of rest, for example. I would have loved to see the opposition say, here's our solution. We offer some technocrats. We're willing to come to the table to work on your tax rules. President, we have set up a task force. I would have loved to see the opposition set up a task force. So on the issue of analyzing the issue, we need public education that is not partisan driven. I cannot be educating people on what CDC think, what Unity Party think, what is important to the voter. Some of the voters don't belong to no party. So how can you speak to a voter who belongs to no party? Because they're not going to listen to the message from one side.
Okay. Thank you very much. But the news is up next.
But first of all, thank you for the time. I appreciate your time and congratulations on your launching. And most of the food that I miss, I will have.
And you pay fine, you know what's up, man.
Man, you got to pay me fine. Sure.
Okay, thank you very much, Kiatema, for coming and talking about most of the issues in country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the news, and tomorrow we're going to be back here on the program, and we're going to talk big things, like we said. We're going to talk about Sony Brothers. We're going to tell you more about Thomas Fala and some other issues. People are putting their personal monies in the budget. We're paying our taxes to pay their monies. We will talk more on tomorrow editions of the program, Issues of Today. My name is Sekou, and I'm going to be back here tomorrow.
Voice of Liberia News.
Report